can't sleep. No, wanna go home. I am rich in love, and naturally I'm a pop. Stay with me, 'cause you are my girl, friend now. I found a good woman. I found a good woman.
I broke down because, you know, it's one of the hardest things to do is to travel sometimes knowing that the pressure that will be on Liz.
What happens when you win everything at 17 and then watch it all crumble because you refuse to play the game? When the industry tells you to choose between your art and your family, and you walk away from millions? When you're so broke you can't afford pants that fit, but years later you're crying in a studio at 4 a.m. writing love songs about porridge?
AM trying to find melodies and lyrics, and she got ready for work. When she came out, she was like, "Whoa, you're still up." I'm saying, "Yeah, man, I try to find it. I'm close, but I'm not finding it." And she said, "You want some porridge?" And I said,
Romain Virgo didn't just survive the music industry, he rewrote the rules. But before we get to the moment where he breaks down on camera talking about the pressure of being away from his daughters, you need to know two things that will change everything you thought you knew about this gentleman from Jamaica. First, the real reason he almost gave up music entirely in 2020 has nothing to do with COVID and everything to do with the promise he made to himself as a poor kid sleeping 4 to a bed. And second, what he said about his biological father in a recent interview will leave you speechless. Born in Stepney, St. Anne Parish, Jamaica, Romain Virgo came into this world poor. Not the kind of poor where you complain about it, the kind where you don't even know you're poor because everyone around you is in the same situation.
Even the school, I didn't have the privilege to say, no, I don't want to go to that school. You know, so you get to realize that growing up was rough.
4 people sleeping in one bed, sometimes 3. An outside toilet that everyone in the community could see. No fancy bathroom, the kitchen outside in the front of the house. Young Romain would stand there naked in the mornings, singing, bathing in full view of the neighborhood. But nobody cared because everybody was doing the same thing. When you grow up like that, you don't think you're struggling. You just think that's life.
You know, your kitchen is outside. I used to bathe in the front of my house and just naked out there singing in the morning. Everybody could see you.
His mother worked constantly, sometimes having to be away because she was out trying to find food for them to eat. His stepfather became the father figure he needed, the real man who showed him what love actually looked like. But his biological father, that's a story we'll get to later. One that involves guilt, explanations, and Romain having to tell him the same thing over and over again. But before any of that, there was just a kid who loved to sing. He sang in his high school choir at Stepney All-Age School. Sang so much in class that teachers penalized him for it. But he couldn't stop. Music was the one thing that felt natural, the one thing that felt like home. Then in 2007, at just 17 years old, Romain entered Digicel Rising Stars, Jamaica's version of American Idol.
I'm still in love.
A televised talent competition that the entire island watched. And he didn't just compete, he won. Became the youngest winner in the show's history. 1 million Jamaican dollars, fame, a record deal, everything a kid from Stepney could dream of. But here's what nobody tells you about winning at 17. You have no idea how to handle what comes next.
Going to a machine and putting in the card, and I took 10 or 15,000 Jamaican out of it. And then I see some 9s before. I'm so like, whoa, I'm not a millionaire anymore.
When Romain got that money, his first thought wasn't about cars or chains. It was about transportation. He needed to travel from St. Anne to Kingston every week to record. But instead of rushing out to buy a car, he rode in his friend's car for a year and a half, then waited another 2 years before finally buying his first vehicle. Because even with $1 million in the bank, he remembered what it felt like to have nothing, and he never wanted to go back. His debut album, Romain Virgo, dropped in 2010, released on VP Records. The romantic lovers rock sound he specialized in wasn't the hardest reggae or the most dancehall, but it was real. Songs like Can't Sleep and Wanna Go Home became instant classics in Jamaica and throughout the Caribbean. He wrote his own material, which set him apart. These weren't just songs, they were stories from his life. The System followed in 2012,
I say, I'm not gonna die today. I know.
then Lovesick in 2014, and Lifted in 2015. Each album showed growth. Each album pushed him further into the international reggae scene. Performances across Europe, the United States, the UK, Romain Virgo was becoming a household name. But something was happening behind the scenes, something nobody saw coming. The industry wanted to change him, make him more commercial, more palatable. They dangled carrots. Renegotiate your deal after one successful album and get another million, but you'll owe them 3 more albums. He watched other artists take those deals and get crushed by the system, watched Whale almost get broken, watched the machine try to mold people into something they weren't. So Romain did something unusual. He stayed patient, never jumped at the shiny object. The longer he waited, the better his leverage became. He maintained creative control, made music on his terms, and somehow it worked. But the real transformation started in 2018 when he married his college sweetheart, Elizabeth, who everyone calls Liz. She's from Montego Bay, Jamaica, though she'll argue that Mo Bay isn't country, even though everyone else says it is.
There's so much that I've learned over, that space of time, musically and, even personally, and yeah, it's such a great vibe to be back here. This is the 10th edition.
Then in 2019, twin daughters arrived, and everything Romain thought he knew about life got flipped upside down.
Girls came in 2019, and so around the time I was like, wow, we need to really and truly move into a space.
Parenthood hit him like a truck. The material things he used to dream about suddenly didn't matter. The cars, the chains, the status symbols, none of it. All he cared about was the joy his family brought. That different level of love you can't explain until you have kids. Nothing anyone could give him could compare to what he felt looking at his daughters. Then 2020 happened. COVID-19 locked down the world. No touring, no shows, no travel. For most artists, this was devastating. For Romain, it became a blessing he didn't know he needed.
Even stronger. And I feel like what it did for me and my family is for us to grow stronger and more together, because I was home.
The girls were just a few months old when the pandemic started, and suddenly, Romain was home every single day. He watched them grow, changed diapers, made schedules, read to them, became the father he'd always wanted to be, the father he never had. But lockdown also gave him time to think, to write, to process everything he'd been through. The struggle of growing up poor, the pressure of early fame. The industry is trying to change him, becoming a husband, becoming a father. All of it started pouring out. During this time, Romain and Liz did something that would change their entire relationship with fans. They started a YouTube channel. The Virgo Nation was born.
Capturing moments with my family and with myself and whoever is within my circle.
At first, it was just them, trying to lift people's spirits during the pandemic, share moments, be real. But something unexpected happened. People fell in love with them. Not just Romain the singer, but Romain the husband, Romain the father, Liz with her honesty and strength, the girls with their joy. The first day, they got 15,000 subscribers. By 2025, they've passed 200,000. And here's the crazy part. Romain estimates that 75% of the people who come to his shows now are people who watch the vlogs first, not people who discovered him through music.
Are people who are more into this whole YouTube channel and watching us and getting to know like a different side of Romain Virgo outside of music.
The vlog showed everything. The good, the struggles, Romain renovating their house, the girls hitting milestones, Liz being the backbone of the family. And yes, that moment when they picked up a new car and Liz surprised everyone with the reveal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're not part of the Virgo Nation yet. But the vlog also showed something else. The pressure, the guilt, the weight of being away from his family.
Very question that you're asking me. And I broke down because, it's one of the hardest things to do is to travel knowing that the pressure that will be on Liz.
In late 2023, someone asked him backstage in the UK how he handles traveling while the girls are home. Romain broke down crying because leaving his daughters to perform is one of the hardest things he has to do, knowing the pressure it puts on Liz, knowing he's missing moments he can't get back, knowing the girls need both parents, but he has to work to provide for them. Every time he travels now, Liz sends him videos of small victories, a new word one of the girls said, a milestone they hit, and Romain celebrates those moments like he just had the greatest show of his life, because to him, those victories at home matter more than any stage. Then, in 2024, something else happened. Romain and Liz welcomed their son, a boy, who was a year old a few weeks ago.
Because he's just one. It's tougher with him than the girls, yeah. When the girls were at his age, 6 months, they were much easier to deal with.
The baby boy is different from the girls, more demanding, loves company, cries when you leave the room. But there's something about him that Romain can't explain, a different look in his eyes, a different energy, hope, he calls it, pure life. And watching Liz with their son, seeing the joy on her face because she always wanted a boy, it's a different kind of beautiful. 3 kids now, twin daughters and a son, living in Kingston, Jamaica, in a house they bought during the pandemic. A community where Romain says he could live for the rest of his life if he needs to, because he's practical. He thinks about worst-case scenarios, plans for stability, not just flash. And through it all, he kept making music. The Gentleman dropped in 2024 his most personal album yet, the project that multiple reggae experts voted as the 3rd best reggae album of the year. An album that captured everything: the struggle, the growth, the love, the family, the pressure, the peace.
Just more growth in that ultimate person. I always see myself as a gentleman, from day one.
The title wasn't just branding, it was an identity. Romain has always been a gentleman, from day one. People have watched him since he was 16, 17 years old, watched him grow up in front of their eyes, and he's never changed. Never let fame corrupt him, never became someone he wasn't. The gentleman from Stepney who refused to be anything other than himself. The album opens with Been There Before, featuring Masika, a song about struggle, about the darkest part of night being just before daylight.
I've been there before.
Written on a rhythm from Slider at Romesh Entertainment, the bass line immediately pulled something out of Romain, a need to tell his story.
Something that came to me like, yo, you need to tell a story now. That was the first thing that came to mind. I just wanted to tell a story, and the story I wanted to tell was, just where I'm coming from.
The album cover for the single shows young Romain in his high school uniform, pants way too big because they were his brother's hand-me-downs. His mother couldn't afford new clothes. But looking at that photo now, Romain doesn't feel ashamed. He feels pride because that was their reality. That was the community. People passed things down. Nobody judged. You worked with what you had. Then there's Good Woman, the song that might be the purest love letter ever written.
She got ready for work. When she came out, she was like, whoa, you're still up. I'm saying, yeah, man, I try find it. I'm close, but I'm not finding it.
It was 4 a.m. Romain was in the studio trying to write on a rhythm from Danon, the German producer. He'd been up all night chasing melodies, chasing lyrics, and nothing was clicking. Then Liz got ready for work, came out, saw him still working, and her first instinct wasn't to rush out the door, even though she was running late. It was to ask if you wanted porridge. At that moment, Romain stopped, looked at her, and thought, "You're such a good woman. You're about to be late for work, but you're making sure I'm okay first." And right there, the song wrote itself. He scrapped everything he'd been working on and wrote Good Woman about Liz, about her kissing him first thing in the morning, about her calling to check on him, about the bowl of porridge that became the inspiration for a hit. The album features Jesse Royal on Switch You On and Capleton on You Must Pay. These weren't random features. Jesse Royal is someone Romain considers a big brother, someone who can sit and reason with anyone, someone genuine in a business full of fake. Capleton was the first artist to ever take Romain on tour in the US, back in 2010 or 2011, when Romain only had 3 or 4 songs anyone knew. And even when Capleton only had 30 minutes to perform, he made sure Romain got at least 1 song. That level of kindness never left Romain's mind.
He's somebody you can sit down with right here, and he will talk and reason with you all night, and it's just pure positive vibe.
And now, Romain is an independent artist. The Gentleman was his last album with VP Records. After 14 years with the label, he's on his own, which means he's starting from scratch in some ways, figuring out how to release music independently, what to do next.
Whether we should try and do an EP or an album. A lot of people wouldn't know, but now I feel like a new artist because I am now independent. I did my last album with my record label.
He's currently working on new music with his longtime collaborator and manager, Nico. They're deciding whether to release an EP or a full album in 2025. There's already a new single called Two-Faced that recently had a video shoot produced by Romesh Entertainment. It's on a juggling rhythm featuring artists like Terrace Riley, Christopher Martin, and Singa, plus 3 young artists nobody knows yet getting their shot. Romain hopes this rhythm can help bring back the era of juggling rhythms in reggae, something that hasn't been thriving over the past decade. He wants to work with momentum, ride the wave of the Gentleman's success while staying true to quality. No disposable music. Every song has to matter. As of 2025, Romain Virgo's net worth is estimated at approximately $3 million. His hit songs that defined his career include Can't Sleep 2010,
No matter how me try to do it,
which launched his professional career, Wanna Go Home 2010,
you must be wondering, baby.
the romantic anthem that showcased his songwriting, I Am Rich in Love featuring Busy Signal 2012,
I am rich in love, and naturally I'm a papa.
Stay With Me, Sail Away 2012,
Stay with me.
Now 2014,
You are my girl, friend now.
and Good Woman 2024, his most personal hit yet.
I got a good woman.
His major screen and media appearances include performances in Digicel Rising Stars 2007, where he won the competition, Reggae Sumfest multiple years, Rebel Salute multiple years, documentaries about Jamaican music culture, and his widely followed YouTube channel, The Virgo Nation 2020 to present, which has become as significant as his music career.
2 rising stars. So everybody who watched All Together Sing used to tell me they need to enter rising stars. And I take up the offer because I believed in myself, and a lot of people wouldn't even know that I entered rising stars mainly to pay my school fee for college, because I remember back in the days me used to tell mommy, say, I want to go to college, and she said, when we get money from boy? Them time that she just go from the work program. Me used to call it farm work, them time then I call it youth, but
a farm work in him, babes. Even though
But
you're
them
not
not
going
go
to
for
go
no
for
farm.
no farm, no, but in general, that's what people call it.
okay. Well, yeah, so it's from way back then, and I told her that, mommy, I'm going to enter Rising Stars, I'm going to win, I'm going to use that money to go to college.
But the most shocking moments in recent interviews came when Romain talked about his biological father.
Don't hear from me for a long time. He's like, when they call you, oh, it's been a while, I haven't heard from you. Like, I just want, and then he goes back in history again. And I'm like, geez.
His father is alive. They talk now. They have a relationship. But every single time they talk, his father brings up the past, brings up guilt, tries to explain why things didn't work with Romain's mother. Why wasn't he there? And every time, Romain has to say the same thing. I understand now. We have to move forward. We can't dwell on what we can't change. I'm trying not to live the life you lived. I'm trying to break the cycle. But his father keeps going back, keeps feeling guilty. And Romain has learned something profound through this. Parents are just humans with flaws. His father probably grew up without his own father around. It's a cycle that runs through generations, and Romain is determined to be the one who stops it, so his daughters and son will know what it looks like when a father chooses to stay.
I feel like it's one of the most beautiful things on the face of the earth, is to have and raise different level of love. Nothing else no matter, as me say.
His days are simple now. Create music, spend time with family, and when it's time to perform, give everything on stage. No rest for the righteous. He posts updates on social media, connecting with the Virgo Nation constantly. His main focus is making sure every moment counts, whether it's in the studio or at home with his kids. But even with all the success, all the growth, all the love from fans worldwide, Romain approaches everything with humility.
Everybody's like, whoa, but then I go elsewhere in the world and everybody just walk past because it's not the same kind of vibe everywhere.
He goes into every venue assuming nobody knows him, not out of insecurity, but out of respect. Because if he assumes everyone knows his songs and they don't respond the way he expects, he'll feel disappointed in himself. But if he assumes nobody knows him and gives 150% energy, and then they do respond, the show becomes electric. It's his approach to life. Set yourself up to be surprised by success, not disappointed by expectations. There's a deeper truth Romain has learned through his YouTube channel, through his music, through his family. When you show people the real you, when you let them see your struggles and your joy and your humanity, the love becomes deeper. The connection becomes unbreakable.
You know, most of the things that you share are things that a lot of people are going through or have been through themselves, and it's almost like, whoa, it's like drawing them closer to you.
He's grateful for friends who are like family. T and Christopher Martin, who pick him up from the airport in the middle of the night. Kim and Omi and Sashin and Mara and Timon. People who genuinely love him and Liz and want to see them win. Because when you're far from your blood family, having chosen family around you makes all the difference. Romain Virgo isn't chasing fame anymore. He's not chasing hit records or industry validation. He's chasing peace. He's trying to teach his kids the lessons it took him 30+ years to learn. He wants them to find peace faster, to not attach their worth to material things, to know they're loved unconditionally.
To see everybody as important as yourself. You know, so I've never ever looked on anybody else out there and feel like I am better than you.
He wants them to understand that humility isn't weakness, that seeing every person as important as yourself is the foundation of love, that no matter your race, religion, or status, everyone deserves to be seen and valued. These are the values he lives by. These are the values that make him the gentleman he is today. Currently, he is working on a new single called Finally. You should definitely check it out. You better believe that he is bringing it on this new single and album. On a whole, let's pray that he is working on a new album now. We're waiting, Mr. Virgo. Comment down below if you're excited for Virgo to release a new album. But in the meantime, we will be looking out for Liz and Romain on the Virgos on YouTube with their beautiful family.